What's going on, guys? How we doing? Everyone should be able to hear me all right. We can't have any music on the stream, unfortunately. We'll get Lucid Trading up. Okay, all set. What is going on, everyone? I'm gonna get the post out on YouTube here. Not on YouTube, on Twitter. There we go, and we are live. All right, how is everyone doing tonight? Pretty late stream, a little laid back stream for the day, but we'll be reviewing this week's price action. Let me get the chat up on my other monitor here. We'll try to be in for about an hour or so. YouTube, there we go, and pull up Mr. Zink. I gotta figure out a better way to get the chat going, but this is okay. Okay, should be loaded. What's going on, Mahatty? How you doing? #1 top fan. This is my first YouTube stream, Mahatty. Believe it or not. You're very low. Sorry, I was far away from the mic, Rave. Should be good now. I was setting up the other audio and the chat so I could see what was being typed and everything. Just started up my other PC. My Wi-Fi has been a little slow recently. All right, so let's review what happened this week. Pretty substantial downside. How do you add 100% on YouTube and 100% on my computer? Can you hear me all right now, Mahatty? Not Mahatty, sorry, Rave. You should be able to hear me all right now. If not, I'll turn the audio up a little tiny bit, but it looks like it's going into the red. I hear you now. Awesome. All right, so first day that we're going to go back and review is Monday. Now, Monday was, let's go to the P&L here. I don't think we had anything for Monday. Oh, we actually did. We had 2 trades. So Monday, I do not recall. Oh, yes, I do. Never mind. All right, so let's chart out that previous day's 50. I know what happens this week. You got a massive payout. Not quite for this week, no. I don't know what's going on with the stream here. It won't play. There we go. How's the quality, by the way? It's bad, good. Quality should be okay. We'll worry about that after. All right, so for Monday's price action, we chart out our previous day's 50 as always. We go into the 4 a.m. candle and then the high from that Friday right there. There's our previous day's 50 going into Monday. Now, we did not use that for Monday. What we ended up using was just that London 50. So we chart in our London 50 over our London high and our London low. We didn't really end up using that either. What we did was we used the initial balance break. So we waited for, and I remember this day now, We waited for that pullback down after we made those two consecutive. Oh, this is on Tesla. What am I saying? Okay, scratch that. We gotta go and reset to Monday. Pretty much the same thing for Monday though. I do recall. That's October. All right, Zinc, get it together here. Okay, there we go. Thought it looked a little bit fishy. All right, there is our previous day's 50 for Monday. We took the IB low. This makes a lot more sense now. Okay, and then chart in our London 50, London low at 4 a.m., London high at that 9 a.m. wick. There's our London range. Now, I did not take shorts below London 50. I believe we had data at 10 on Monday. And I'll actually bring that up real quick. Just go to market data this week. It should still be present for Monday. Scroll down a little bit. So Monday we did have ISM at 10. I did not take a trade at 10. What I did was I waited for the initial balance break. I think I can go and see what the trade was for the day. So I entered right at 10 a.m. Right after that news came out, right at 10. So it looks like I did enter for that close below London 50. Our stop loss was at 150 points. And then our take profit was a little bit lower. We were looking down for at least low a day. I believe we went and hit that. Swept a little bit lower. And then we entered another trade from the looks of it at 10.12. Our first trade was break even. Our second trade was for the initial balance break. We entered at 10.12 for MNQ. That one pretty easily went to that initial balance low, and then we continued down, made a new low at 6:30. So that is Monday's recap. Not really anything to do with the previous day's 50. London 50, we were just looking for a move down to that initial balance break. Now, if we back out and we go into Tuesday's price action, yet again, we did not use the London 50 because we had a previous day in London gap. What we did do for Monday into Tuesday was we charted out the previous day's 50 on Monday. There's our previous day's low right at about 8 p.m. And then we're charting out our London 50. And you can note that for our London 50, there's a pretty sizable gap between London and that previous day. That is what we refer to, or I refer to, as that previous day in London gap. These ones have about a 97% chance of filling, not 97, 93, sorry, 93%, 92% chance of filling in that range. Very high chance that we go and fill those. And what I like to see with a continuation into that level is pretty much just price going straight into that zone. Now, what I do recall from Tuesday, because that was one of the best days we had this week, we had 4 trades for 1,086. As you can see, the first trade was negative 118. Second 2 trades is where we made the $1,000, and then the fourth trade was a break-even trade. Started the day with 2 MNQ, and I want you to note the size behind these trades. 2 MNQ, 3 MNQ, 3 MNQ, 3 MNQ. So in total for that day, we traded 11, just over 1 full mini, for $1,086 profit. And I believe we were up 1,200, and I kind of flopped with the trailing stop loss. Should have moved it up a little bit more. The trade did peak at 1,600. Now, the only kind of shitty part about this trade was it didn't go and take the initial bounce. When we went and hit the initial bounce, we did not have a continuation through that level. We got stuffed at the initial bounce, missed it by about 20 cents, and then ended up going and breaking the IB low. Thankfully, we were all done trading for the day. We didn't have any more trades to put in because we were up $1,000, just over 1,000. And we had it come all the way back down to the initial bounce low, which is only about I think it was about a 10% chance of happening, 12 to 10% in that range. Not all that good of a day for the initial bounce, but we had a bias based on that previous day in London gap. It's one of my favorite gaps to trade, one of my favorite trades, one of my favorite setups is when that previous day in London gap pops up. Always love to see a continuation through that level. Going into the next day, we kind of had a draw up to that same level. We were looking for 629.08. Unfortunately, we did not get up to 629.08. That's where our previous day in London gap is. Going into next week, and I want to add this in real quick, we ended up filling the gap, the two gaps that we filled, the two previous day in London gaps that we formed on Friday, October 24th. This one did not fill for a whole week. The second one was all the way down here at 611.82. This one also got filled. Noting that, we can expect price to continue all the way back up to 628.88 because that is a previous day in London gap that has not been filled yet. We got rejected going into Wednesday. We were rejected at that previous day's high, could not quite continue past it. News into close, and then we kind of pittered out into the rest of the day. Terrible continuation down on Thursday, another continuation down into Friday with a beautiful V shape. And if we go into the 24-hour time frame, this is one of the most attractive liquidity sweeps that we've seen as of lately, mainly because of how large it is. We filled all the gaps that we had to the downside, and the 24-hour makes it a lot more clear on the chart. You can see that 611.61 to 612.39, even though it's a small gap, it is one that needs to get filled because it is a previous day in London gap. We filled that, wicked all the way down to a pretty key support, demand zone that we had from 604, 605, all the way down to 580. Bounced up off of that with the volume that we had coming to close as well, beating out volume for the past 3 weeks. We should pretty easily expect price to continue all the way back up to 626.91. Rave is straight up crazy. I'm just pissed I blew my account pre-market. It happens. The best way you can avoid that is don't trade pre-market. I only trade setups, and as much as I hate to say it, apparently it's a kill zone for ICT. That 9 to 10:30, 9 to 11 window, or 10 to 11 window is a kill zone. I'm pretty much done my trading day, and I think for every day this week. Monday, the last trade I took, I exited at 10:16. Tuesday, 10:45, and that was just because that push all the way up took up another 15 minutes. Wednesday, 10:26, 10:17 on Thursday, and today 10:40. So all of the trades that I take pretty much done before 11, and that was every day this week. Thursdays do not like me, as you can see from that P&L. So for price moving forward, yeah, it's pretty easy that we expect a move back up and fill that gap to 627.14. I'm actually going to go and post this within the Discord real quick. And if you zoom out and take a screenshot of it, or we just zoom out in general, it's very clear that we have all the gaps of the downside filled. Even the one that we had from the initial news break all the way back in September, or the end of September, September 26th, those two previous day in London gaps that didn't fill initially, we got filled on that Friday, October 10th candle, the 4% candle down, and then we pushed all the way back up. Also, we closed over that mother bar that we formed on that Friday, October 10th candle, which is really nice. Let me, real quick, let me get another ping out to the Discord. I just realized I didn't put the link to the YouTube live in there. Live on YouTube, recapping the week. Let me go ahead and paste that and tag everyone. I'll be that guy. So do options for weeklies? You could do options, yeah. I would say just probably go into the week with a bullish bias, mainly because of the bounce that we had at 612. 612.25 is going to be a pretty crucial level for us to hold, moving all the way up to 627.14, and then that gap fill is up to 629.16. Low of that candle, 629.09. So note that level down. I'm actually going to go ahead and mark that with a horizontal ray, and we will put a text on there. How do I There we go. Just had to double click it. So that is 629.09 previous day plus London gap fill. So this is going to be a pretty crucial level for us to come up into for this week. And then once we hit that, we should see a small sweep over it. So far, we have put in a higher low. So even though we had some pretty nasty downside this week, past 3 days, we've had like a 200-point drop into open every day and then just pitters out for the rest of the day. Going into this week, this coming week, we do have Tuesday closed. No trading on Tuesday. So Monday, tricky to say if we're going to have a lot of volume or no volume. I don't remember what happens with holidays midweek, if the volume comes in prior or after. So we'll see with that. And then the most crucial factor of where we stand in the market right now is extreme fear sitting at 21. So not really any worry for us to continue down. If we do continue down, it's going to be a day like this where we have a sharp move to the downside, rebounds pretty immediately. I'm looking at the 625 call for Thursday. Yeah. I mean, anything under 629 with probably like a 625, that's a good contract, or even like a 615. Depends on how much money you want to put into it. So we got to go back to reviewing for Thursday. Thursday was a pretty shit day. We had the initial balance form. I think what started the day off poorly is we took a London 50 trade. So here's our London 50 right there. And then we go to the previous day's 50. We took a previous day's 50 trade, not a London 50 trade. So I tried longs off of previous day's 50. It broke below. And I remember how terribly sad the short was for Thursday. The short that I took ended up being a 148 stop loss. Where is it? 147 stop loss on 3MNQ. And it stopped me out by 10 points. A whole 10 points at that London low. And then we had a 200-point drop in the next 25 minutes. Tried the shorts, ended up getting stopped on the 10-15 candle. Had a 180-point drop into the initial balance break, and then I was just done for the day there. So held it together decently well, I'd say. Thursdays are just not my day. They do not like me at all. Maybe don't get the call for Thursday, Rave. Maybe don't do that. Maybe the best thing to do would be a Friday expiration, because you can see what Thursdays end up doing to me. Friday or Tuesday, that'd probably be a better. Yeah, Friday would probably be the better expiration date there. And then going into Friday today, we had a picture perfect. I mean, this could not have been any better of an initial balance break. And I'm actually going to pull up the trade here. I don't think it should be. Yeah, it's just covering Firefox. Good. So I'm on a different window. Let me get the screenshot of the entry that I had. So this was the entry on that short, and I was actually very, very proud of this. That was our entry right there. 2502. I know it's a little blurry. It's because it's a screenshot. 2502 was the entry, or 2505, sorry. That was the entry we had. And if I go to the Lucid chart, that was pretty much right. 2505, where are you? There we go. That was right there. I entered, it was during the 10-15 candle, so it wasn't a wick all the way up there. Entered as I started seeing that candle get a little weakness. And then the target was all the way down to the initial balance low, which was at 24,883. 24,881, 25 is where I had the take profit. And as you can see, beautiful flush all the way down to it. Beautiful flush. And I think the unfortunate thing with this one was I ended up securing it at 420 because I was worried that we were going to bounce off of 24.9, sorry. I was worried we were going to bounce off 24.9, and hindsight, definitely could have left it for the full TP since I was in the trade for a pretty significant amount of time. But going over to 24.9 again, look at the reaction that we had into the afternoon. 24.9 had 3 bounces off of it after we broke at 115, that is. 3 bounces and then 150 point candle at 130, 230 after we had a continuation through that level. 182 for the 625 strike for is that Thursday or Friday? That's honestly a pretty what how about the 620s? 620s might not be too bad. I wouldn't mind those ones. Yeah, and then going into the rest of the day today, we just had a beautiful continuation all the way up. Managed to actually be in a green position for the day, which is very pleasing considering the state of the market that we had. MSTR ended up closing the day 2% green. Entire market was severely red. SPX actually closed green, never mind. Going over to Bitcoin, we're going to cover that real quick as well. So Bitcoin, same thing on the 24-hour time frame. The only issue is Bitcoin doesn't have that previous day in London gap, but Bitcoin did have a previous support that ended up, or previous trend that ended up bouncing pretty well here. So we should see a nice continuation up off of this trend. The Santa rally has yet to start as well. We haven't had confirmation of the Santa rally. You don't like spending more than 200 per trade. Go right up to 200 then. 182, yeah, never mind, you already did. I'm stupid. So mainly looking at Qs in the 24-hour. This is going to be our draw for this week. Pretty easily, or should pretty easily push back up to 629.09. And I'd imagine that the directional move that we have up to that level is going to be something like we had on Thursday or Friday 2 weeks ago. This 2% candle that we had on Monday. This one was news associated, so it might not be that large, but we did have a 2% move off of some decent continuation on news over the weekend, but the wick that we had back down pre-market, that one kind of eliminated the previous day in London gap. Ultimately, we did end up going back and filling that on that Tuesday, but then we formed another gap to the upside, so we should see a pretty solid continuation. And that will take everything else up with it as well. So who else do we have in the stream here? We have Rave, obviously, sending out all the messages. Who else is in here right now? Drop a little hello in chat. Rave's #1 top fan, and then Mahadi at #2. I don't think I can see who's in here. But I am interested. We have 7 of you. No one wants to talk. That's okay. So I'm going to try to get some more. This isn't the end of the stream. We're still going to chit-chat in here for a little bit with all 7 of you. Excuse me. But this is the first of many, and I'm going to try to get a stream going on the side while I'm trading during the day. So if you guys have any questions, anything that you want to take a look at for the rest of the stream, anything that you want to kind of ponder, have a question, whatever it might be. It's not going to be every day that I go and stream, but I'm going to try to incorporate it day to day. But not bad for a first stream. This will also help significantly with the watch time and watch hours. I think I'm only like 200 away from getting monetized, which is pretty nice. Just need to pass a combine. We are, I mean, you can hop back in for the Lucid one, Rave. I am 1,200 away, 1270. Sorry, 1270 away from passing this one. This has been, I mean, we've been trading it for 13 days, which is kind of long for a combine, but this is the same way that I'm going to trade it with the funded account. So this is where we started it. There we go. We actually get all of them right in one go. This is the entire P&L, so it's 14 trading days on the funded account. I must have missed one, recapping it somewhere. We're at 14, not 13. You're negative. Well, I traded this one live, and as I was just telling you, pretty much all the trades are done by 10:30. So the first one, that was 10:28. This one, 10:42, 10:36, 10:51. Pretty much all of them are done prior to 11. So if you have a job or if you're busy during the day, we actually have someone in here, KP. I don't know if he's in the stream right now. He's following along on the what's going on with the monthly P&L? That's weird. He's following along by taking bathroom breaks at work. You still have the 3-month plan? I can create one. I'll have to create one. I'll create a checkout link if you remind me. You can shoot me a DM on Discord. But anyway, I did have a blow up day on Thursday. This one just got kind of out of hand. I ended up tilting a little bit because of how bad the initial balance was. I'll go to that Thursday actually. That was probably one of the worst days I've had trading. This one right here ended up taking a whopping 6.5 hours to break out of the initial balance. Hey Simon, how you doing? How's it going? Yeah, shoot me a DM on Discord, Raven. I'll try to remember. Yeah, anyway, Thursday. Blow up day for me. That was the first one I've probably had. That was the first set of funded accounts that I've also blown for I don't know, probably 2 months. And the main reason is just because I got into the chop and I wasn't able to get myself out of it. And whether it was the headspace I was in or trying to go for the initial bounce. The initial bounce, we formed the low first and then the high. So I was targeting the high, ended up eating a $2 drop on the candle that I was targeting to get in. Just let the day get out of hand. Luckily for me, there was a daily loss limit on the Lucid accounts. I do have one on the Top Step accounts that I trade as well. It's set to 1,500 or 1,000. I don't remember. But the important thing to note is that you typically, when you have price action like this, as long as you don't blow the account, you are almost always gifted with better price action the following day. And that's exactly what we got. We had the initial balance high form first, then the low. I believe for that Friday, started the day off with a negative 36 trade, ended up hitting a 386 one. Tried to go for the initial bounce low again, gave back some of the profits, lost $75, and then moved on to the next day. Monday, didn't blow anything. Monday was the initial bounce low take as well. And then Tuesday was the big one. And then going back to what I was just saying to you, Rave, and everyone else that's in here. I guess I'm just addressing Rave because no one else wants to drop a message in here. Say hello. 629.09 for that previous day in London gap fill. And again, going to the 24-hour chart, it's a lot easier to see where those liquidities or where those draws on liquidities are. Mainly because it's a lot more visible than going to the daily chart. And I get this question all the time, and you guys should go and do the same thing. This is not financial advice, this is charting advice. Going to the daily time frame, it looks like a mess. You have gaps all over the place. You're not going to be able to validate where you have a previous day or London gap or where you have a true draw on liquidity. What you will be able to validate, though, is that you have 8.5 or 9 hours less of data on the daily time frame as opposed to the 24-hour. In case you didn't know, the 24-hour includes pre-market. It also includes after-hours trading. Pre-market is 4 to 9:30 in the morning, so that's 5.5 hours of extra data. And then after hours is 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that's another 4 hours of data. So you could go and use the daily chart and only get the 9:30 to 4 p.m. candle. Or you could use the same exact chart, the 24-hour time frame, and you can get 9.5 hours extra of data. that data includes volume and includes news that comes in after hours. You get the pre-market wicks, you get the after hours wicks. It's just a lot better on the charting perspective. God, my voice is cracking bad tonight. It's a lot better on the charting perspective because you don't have as low of volume, you don't have the low liquidity or whatever you might be charting on the daily time frame. Great example, Friday, October 24th, Monday, October 27th. Those candles look disgusting. You'd be like, oh yeah, we have this gap here, we have this gap here, these need to get filled. Unfortunately, they did end up getting filled, so you were a blind squirrel finding a nut. But if you go back to like August 29th, we have gaps all over the place, whereas if you go to the 24-hour time frame, those gaps aren't there. And this one is actually the best example down here, June 23rd to June 24th. The daily time frame, we have a massive, massive gap. And some bear is going to go and eat that up. They're going to say, oh, this is 110% going to go and fill. Then you go to the 24-hour and there's no gap. And that move happened either entirely after hours or it was all pre-market. So a great reason to be using the 24-hour. And a surprising thing that I did actually end up recapping for this week. This entire week, all 5 trading days this week, I never went off of the 15-minute or 24-hour time frame. Those are the only 2 time frames I used for the entire week, and we ended up doing, for the week, 1,815 profit on 150K. In my Tradeify and TopStep accounts, I think I did a little bit more because I size up more. But all the trades that we had this week, this one today, $419 off of 2 M&Q. Thursday, red day, but we ended up trading, that was 6, 9, 12 M&Q total, 9 M&Q on Wednesday, 11 M&Q on Tuesday, and 6 M&Q on Monday. So that's not even breaking 5 minis this week, and we ended up doing $1,800 profit. And I'm slowly getting more comfortable with sizing up on the positions, which is good. So we'll have a nice continuation up on those eventually when I start doing 4, 5, 6 M&Q. All right, that was a nice little 30-minute stream. Do you guys have any questions for me? Anyone? There are 7 of you in here. I don't know if there's actually 7 or what's going on there. Oh, 8 now. This is the first YouTube stream that I've done, so I'm not really expecting all that much from it. Just getting used to what's going on. The streaming quality doesn't look all that good. I don't know if that's something that I can increase. I am using OBS. I thought it would be a little bit clearer. It looks very blurry. What's going on, Richie? How you doing? Just hopped on at 1:35 a.m. UK. How's the quality for you guys? Is it okay or is it a little blurry? Because that'll be something that I have to figure out on OBS. OBS is looking like it's coming through decently well. I'm watching it on my other monitor. It looks blurry. I don't know if it's something to do with that. All right, well, that will do it for the stream. If you guys not bad here, awesome, David. Thank you. Oh, David T, what's going on? Well, if you guys don't mind, before I end the stream, if you can drop a like on it. I don't know if it's a double click or if you actually have to click the thumbs up button. But that will do it for the first stream, and I'll probably be live tomorrow night. And then again on Sunday, we'll do a little Sunday prep. But yeah, that will do it for today's stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.